This is Lee the Appraiser for another episode of Amazing Appraising here at the famous APR57 Gallery. How's everyone doing today?
Fabulous.
Fabulous, she says. Okay, well, today we're going to be talking about what's hot in the market, what's not, what's current. We haven't talked to you guys in probably a week. Our show is typically on the radio live every Sunday at 8 p.m. We do a simultaneous, we have a YouTube video channel, APR57 NYC, and we have some other social media platforms. So you can make sure you can catch us on any episode or any radio show. We stream on those, a number of different Spotify stations. I guess that's under, APR57 and Amazing Appraising.
Yes.
So you can catch us on all those stations as well, or of course every Sunday on WOR as well. So let's talk about, so we handle everything collectible, as everyone knows. We collect the unique, and we buy them from the unique and sell them to the unique. So a lot of uniqueness going on here. So what's hot in the watch market today? So we have a number, many, every day, many clients coming to us looking to buy Rolex watches. And the reason is because not only do they make a great watch that is very strong and very durable, and it's been extremely collectible over the years. It's probably the most collectible wristwatch in the world, them and Patek Philippe. Rolexes were made in much larger quantities, but still the demand is very strong. And so we're going to discuss a little about their demand. So if you went to a Rolex retail dealership today and said, here, show me what you have in Rolex watches, the odds are they will show you nothing. Pretty crazy. They pay rent here on Fifth Avenue, probably their smaller stores are $50,000 to $100,000 a month, and they don't have any Rolex watches to sell. Doesn't sound like a great business plan. The demand is strong. You know, typically what most retail brands want to do for all items, especially luxury items, is to get the client interested in their product through advertising, word of mouth, and various marketing techniques. And then when the client has succumbed to those techniques and are interested to buy, they walk into Cartier and they go, show me a 10-carat diamond ring. They walk into Bulgari, show me a 50-carat diamond bracelet. They go into Rolex, show me a men's gold president. And out of all the people there, Rolex says, sorry, we don't have a gold president. Watch we're talking about, right? We don't want that. So we don't want to, okay, I mean, Donald Trump probably is the closest thing to a gold-looking president, right? But I don't want to go into that. Okay, anyhow, so they say we don't have one. So of course the follow-up questions, oh, I'm sorry, so I guess you just sold your last. When do you think you'll be getting another one? They go, we don't know. And you go, well, approximately tomorrow, next Monday. Well, I say maybe 5 years. Okay, 5 years, okay.
I'll think on it.
You'll think on it. Well, okay, how about I'll sacrifice? How about I get instead of a gold present, how about a gold Submariner? No, we don't have any either. It'll happen tomorrow? No. When? Maybe 5 years. Well, okay, gold, I see the price of gold is very high. How about a steel and gold Daytona? No, we're sorry. How about a steel Submariner? No. How about a steel Submariner? No. No. Okay. So it doesn't make any sense because they are accomplishing what most retail brands want, is the customer ready to come into their store and buy the product. But Rolex is saying, wasn't there a song like that, Amy Wiles? No.
No.
Right, that was it. So anyhow, so the bad news is that Rolex does not have any of their products to sell. Okay? The good news is APR57 does. So you can come here and we have not one or two or three, but we probably have close to 500 various Rolex watches of every style, every model, every brand available. But of course, this show is not about us. It's about the market information and the appraising value and the appraising techniques that we use to give advice to all our clients. So the question is, why is Rolex doing this? What's going on? So nobody seems to know the exact answer. You know, it's either a real shortage of the manufacturing of their watches, which you can't really, come to a logical conclusion as how that's the case. I mean, here they've been making watches for close to 100 years, and last year and the year before, they pretty much, most manufacturers will supply pretty much the entire demand. Maybe Rolex won't give it out, to that degree where there's, where every store has a complete inventory, and they'll make it somewhat artificially scarce, but it was never to this point. So the question is, what happened to manufacturing? I don't think so. I think that Rolex has made in fact, I don't know, it could be they're making the watches still, they're just not delivering them. But it's hard to say, but I would say part of it is they're creating, somewhat of a artificial demand. I mean, the demand is there, but when you don't have any supply, I always stress with evaluating and appraising items, it's a combination of supply and demand. So it appears that what Rolex is doing is increasing the demand by decreasing the supply. All right? So it's interesting to see what they're actually going to do. I mean, it's conceivable that they are manufacturing these watches and they're just holding on to them, keeping them in inventory, and then perhaps next year they will raise their prices by 50% and then slowly let them on the market. Who knows? But I will tell you that it's very unlikely that the value of your watches, if they're Rolex, will go down, and it's very unlikely that the prices of the current models will stay the same. So nobody really knows, but I will tell you that the demand is very strong. So if you have any watches, Rolex, that you want to clean, service, repair, or more importantly, appraise or sell, bring them to us. We are very, very strong buyers of these watches. We will pay you in most cases much more than you think they're worth. And even if they're old, vintage, and poor condition, we still buy them for a lot of money, and we love to collect them. So why don't you see what you can find in your drawers, in your trunks, in your safe deposit boxes, wherever you may have them or think you may have them or think a relative may have put them. Why don't you look, find, search, and we will be happy to help you evaluate and appraise these items. That is what we do here. We buy, sell, and appraise, and particularly appraise and authenticate all these items that you have. In particular, now we bought a very beautiful collection this week of a group of Patek Philippe watches that were purchased exclusively from Tiffany and Company. So Tiffany and Company is one of the major designers and retailers of fine, high-end watches, jewelry, and other sort of gift items. And they have a policy that everything in Tiffany's store, it has to be slightly different than any other product you can buy in any other store in the world. So therefore, you go to Tiffany's to buy this product. Now with watches, it's nice to do with jewelry and other types of unique items. They can have a designer make it just for them. They can have their own designer sell it. Okay, that's fine. But with watches, it becomes a little more tricky, a little more complicated, because none of the manufacturers are going to make the exact watch just for Tiffany. They are going to make their most popular watches and let Tiffany sell them amongst, all the other high-end retailers in the world. So to balance both of these issues, Tiffany required, and in most cases the watchmakers agreed, to co-brand the watches, meaning that if Patek Philippe made a specific brand of watch, which they do. They make all their watches, and Tiffany is a registered recorded retailer of their watches. Patek Philippe would agree to print, in addition to the name Patek on their watch, they would add the name Tiffany on the dial. So that's called a co-branded watch. We have numerous of those examples like that in stock. We've handled a lot of them, and especially those have become extremely collectible and popular over the last number of years. So if a gentleman, which we have a collector that has sold us over the years he buys all his Patek Philippe's exclusively from Tiffany's. So when he does that, they're so typically this is the trade-off here. He generally pays full retail price, but he gets a beautiful brand new watch. He knows it's a Patek Tiffany. He has no question about the authenticity. And more interestingly, he has a unique watch virtually, meaning that that watch that he purchased has Tiffany's name typically on the dial, and it can only be acquired from Tiffany, and it'll have Tiffany's name typically on the certificate. So he's paying a premium for that, but typically we can sell those watches and we pay him a premium for that as well. So if you have anything like that, let us know. And right now we've been talking about the shortage of Rolex collectible wristwatches that are on the market today, and we've also been discussing the co-branding. That means the high-end Patek Philippe and other brand Rolex, Tiffany watches that were sold retail at Tiffany's or other stores and have the brand name of the retailer on the watch. So in this case, we were talking about Tiffany watches. So we were talking about how Tiffany and Patek do that together. So about 25 years ago, what happened is this conversation was brought up again by Rolex. So Tiffany used to sell, again, all the Rolex watches in their department were required to have Rolex print the Tiffany name on it. Tiffany didn't do that. Rolex, or typically it was always the manufacturer who did that for them. And so Rolex, about 25 years ago, called up Tiffany's and said, listen, after many years, we appreciate your business and everything. However, we are deciding to change our policy. And not just for you, but anybody, we are deciding that we are not going to brand and put the name of any retailer on our watches. Even if you were to buy $20 million a year from us, we are not going to do that. And of course, Tiffany turned around and they said, listen, our policy is that we are only going to sell branded watches with our name on it. So therefore, we will not sell your watches. And so the two big boys had a standoff, and Rolex decided they are not going to be selling to Tiffany's. Tiffany said, we decided we're not going to sell your Rolexes. So I guess they both survived. I know Tiffany's just sold their business a couple months ago. The sale was closed for, I think it was almost $17 billion with a B, $17 billion to I forgot his name, but the French entrepreneur, the French owner of all the high-end stores, Louis Vuitton, I think, and all the others. What's his name? Bernard something. So he bought them, and surprisingly, I guess they're happy with the purchase. But anyhow, so that was a standoff. So these older Tiffany watches have tended to go up quite a bit in value with the Rolex name on it because they haven't done it in many years, and they're very collectible. So we always like that. We have some very interesting older watches. We have a whole tray actually in the gallery of watches that are co-branded Tiffany and other brands. I think we have a number of Baume Mercier. We have a couple Corum. Tiffany, of course, has done it with a few of the Rolex watches. Actually, we bought a watch recently. It was made for Domino Pizza. So it was a Rolex that had Domino's signature logo, the blue and red little pizza emblem on the dial, and it also had a metal emblem on the bracelet that was custom made, and the metal engraving on the back, which was very cool.
Now, my